UFC Vegas 91 did not have a lot of hype. Not a lot of people were excited about it. But, man, did it exceed expectations. Tons of finishes, exciting fights, very entertaining card. Alex, tell us how the prelims went.
It was a great, like you said, a great way to ease back into the fights, fight week, fight night.
We didn't ease back into them. They came with a bang. These were very entertaining fights, lots of finishes, lots of big performances.
Yeah, we kicked off the night with Manhushata. He ended his 2-fight losing streak, handing Gabriel Benitez his second loss of 2024. That's tough to see.
Yeah, 2 losses in 4 months.
Not looking good for Benitez's year. After that, we saw Ivana Petrovic. She stayed patient, and she worked on Liang Na into an arm triangle in the beginning of round 3. That's important because of her staying patient. You know, she didn't panic when Liang Na was going after, being super aggressive. She rolled through the punches. She secured the arm triangle, secured the tap out. Chris Taco Padilla saw that finish and said, "Let me put some hot sauce on it," as he forced takedowns and grabbed the rear naked chokes in the waning seconds of round 1, so he secured a quick finish. And then Ketlin Souza outlasted Marnik Mann to outwin by decision, flipping control and honestly just being the fresher fighter. She held her pace throughout the way to earn herself the victory. She kind of, in my opinion, inspired the heavyweights because those guys didn't want to quit. Dontel Mays, Cal Machado. Mays took home the decision score in a knockdown early in the first, and then more activity in the third, showing that he was the fresher fighter. But in that one, neither fighter quit. Both fighters were swinging for the fences. They kind of gave their own BMF moment there. They, stood there just trying to knock each other out. It was good. From there, you had Ronnie Yahya. He had his unorthodox, forcing his takedown approach. It, unfortunately for him, didn't work. Ended with him being gassed in the third, and Victor Henry dominated that, took advantage of that showing, stopped the takedowns, knocked him out, or third round TKO to seal off the prelims and, to lead us right into the main card. It was an impressive prelims. You had a few decisions, couple submissions, a KO. It was the great mix of how you want to start the fights.
And it set up for a great main card where out of 6 fights, we had 4 KO finishes. Or TKO.
Yeah.
And let's start with the main event, and it was Perez versus Nicolau. Perez showed he's still a top contender in the division after 3 straight losses to 3 of the best guys in the division. He comes out on short notice, gets a second round KO of Nicolau. Very impressive.
You're right. It was a very impressive finish.
And it was kind of a one punch. Like, obviously it was in the second round, so it wasn't like one punch in the whole fight, but it was a one punch finisher.
Yeah, it was.
And just dropped him.
I would say it was Perez's best performance of his career. I'd say, and pretty much everybody else would say, he won 10-9 on the first round. It was a good performance. He was kind of walking Nicolau down, didn't give him a bunch of space. Honestly, you said he's back. He said he never left. That's what he quoted. He was on a 3-fight losing streak.
But it was the 3 of the best guys.
It was. You had
current
Pantoja.
champ, Pantoja, and then Figueiredo, former champ.
Right. It's nothing you want. It's
with
like
injuries in between.
He had 9 canceled fights in between his last 2. I mean, that's a tough thing to have to deal with. I think.
And it's a good way he came in on short notice. He was expecting to fight in June.
Yeah.
Took this fight a little earlier and that's what you got to do when you're on a losing streak and you're trying to turn things around, switch things up. That's what he did. And man, I mean, he really stole the show, I think.
I agree. Who do you think is next for that fight for Alex? Who's a good next fight for Alex Perez?
So I don't think he is going to get the winner of the title fight this weekend.
No, I don't. I agree. I don't.
But where he's at in the division and the guys he's beaten and the guys he's lost to, I think, maybe like a Brandon Moreno, throw him in there, title eliminator. I think he's 1 or 2 wins away from a title shot. Still.
So I agree Brandon Moreno could be a good option, the only issue may be Brandon Moreno may be taking a little bit of time off. They could sway him in with a good opponent like Alex Perez. I think maybe a Brandon Royval, similar style to Brandon Moreno, just active right now. He just lost to Pantoja, so he's obviously not going to be getting a title shot, again, since seeing as he lost to Pantoja twice now. Or maybe a Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott's ninth. Once you get Alex Perez up there, he'll be fifth, but he wasn't supposed to fight here. He was supposed to fight somebody lower than him, so I don't know what the UFC's really
I just don't think he goes, after this big performance, goes down and fights a Tim Elliott who, no offense to Tim Elliott, he's not at the top of the division.
You're right. No, he's not.
He was in less standing than Nicolau and probably still is.
Yeah, he's currently ranked 9, which is under where Perez was ranked previous. But I think Royval would be the right fight to make. Kai Kara France, Manel Kopp, he just pulled out for injury.
He was supposed to fight in this card.
He was supposed to fight on this card.
Supposed to fight Nicolau.
But Perez has already fought him, so it's not going to. They're not going to do that again.
Well, in this division, they fight each other all the time.
That's true.
One fight doesn't mean anything.
So who's your favorite?
I would like to see Moreno, honestly.
Moreno? Let's write it down.
Let's move on. Co-main event. It was another second-round knockout, another impressive performance. Ryan Spann, Guskov. Guskov with the second-round knockout, as I just said.
Honestly, it's a fight that we've seen before, but for multiple reasons. Like the doppelganger with Anthony Smith aside, and then Anthony Smith knocking out Ryan Spann aside. It's something we've seen Guskov do. Weather some storms, fight through some adversity. He lost
second
the
straight
first
KO
round.
win.
He lost the first round and then came back in the second round, like you said. Second straight KO win. It was a significant performance.
He moves to 2-1 in the UFC. That's 2 straight wins with 2 KO wins. Ryan Spann now 3 straight losses. He's 7-5 in the UFC. He's only won 4 out of his last 9 fights, so he's in a tough part of his career currently.
Man, what do you think about Guskov's power?
I mean, he has one of those crazy powers where, like, if he clean touches you, especially at this weight class, how big these boys are, you have a chance to go out.
Yeah, you kind of saw what happened.
He's 6'3", he's a big dude.
Yeah, big boys fighting out there.
The Central Asian guys, they're always scary.
Who do you have next for him?
Give me some options. Who are you thinking?
Put his mettle to the test. Better fighter of the two gets to keep the name Anthony Smith.
Him versus Anthony Smith? Well, Anthony Smith fights this weekend, so I guess...
They're on the same kind of recovery timeline.
Depends what happens to Anthony Smith, but yeah, I mean... We know Anthony Smith. Say what you want about him. I know we kind of make fun of him a lot, but he's always down for a fight. So,
and he is a good fighter.
Yeah.
He's just a corny commentator, just like me. What about Nikita Krylov?
Krylov will be a good one. Honestly, I think Guskov, he's open. He is an exciting guy to watch, so I think he's a guy the UFC will be happy to book.
Yeah.
Probably in the co-main event again in a fight night. I think he's right there just because, if he's going to come out there, he's going to perform, and it's going to be an exciting fight to watch.
Yep. Last one I got, Alexander Raychik.
That would be a good one, too. I mean, Raychik coming off of the tough loss to Prochazka, where he was beating Prochazka.
Yeah.
Pretty much the whole fight.
And then got
until the end. And then Prochazka is a durable dude. That shows you, going back to my man Poton, who's able to finish Prochazka, because Raychik couldn't, and then saw what happened after that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I would like to see any of those fights. You have a favorite?
I'm going to go the Battle of the Anthony Smiths.
Battle of the Anthony Smiths? I like it.
Uzbeki Anthony Smith versus the Anthony Smith. Let's see who wins.
Winner gets to keep the name. All right, moving on. This is my least favorite fight of the night, not because it wasn't a deserved win by the judges. It was just... It was a sheer domination, but it wasn't impressive. It was annoying is all it was to me. And I know it may sound like a bad take or whatever, but once Karine Silva gets to the
unanimous
top 10,
decision over Lipski.
Right. Once she gets to the top 10, it's going to be very tough for Karine Silva to do this one-dimensional thing.
But, I mean, she moves to 4-0 in the UFC.
Two big, good fighters, though. You look at the other women that she's going to have to fight, like Rose, Thug Rose, Macy Barber, Erin Blanchfield. She's a couple fights away from that, and I just think she's going to in for a world of pain whenever that
I think that's a little harsh. This is her first... She's 4-0, as I said, now in the UFC. This is the first time she hasn't finished anybody. She still came in and she easily got the win. Not easily, but there was no question who won the fight.
Right.
Decision win. Her
And
nickname,
I agree. She
nicknamed
did
the Killer.
deserve to win.
I predicted she was going to get the finish in this fight. She didn't quite get the finish. But I think Silva, probably not the most impressive performance, but she's still right there. I don't think this hurts her at all. Hurts her stock at all.
I think it shows that because Ariane de Silva, or Ariane Lipski, she's now Ariane de Silva, she was wildly better on the feet. Like that's why Silva forced it to the ground and refused to, let anything.
Yeah,
get
but sometimes
back up.
it's just an off night, and you're like, I'm gonna go what I know wins.
Maybe if we see her, in my opinion, fight somebody like Macy Barber, it's going to be a different story altogether.
Who do you think she fights next? Who's up for Silva?
Natalia Silva or Thug Rose.
Battle of the Silvas.
Yeah, you just had a battle of the Da Silva versus Silva. She came out on top. Give her Natalia Silva.
We just predicted a battle of the Anthony Smiths. Now you're giving us a battle of the Silvas?
This might be the week of the doppelgangers. I don't know. But I do know, or at least I do feel, and I mean, my batting average is like 60% right, so I'm a little bit more right than I am wrong. I feel like she's not going to be able to last in the top 6, 7 in the women's flyweight division.
Well, I guess we'll see.
That's my big take.
But 4-0 UFC, deserved win for her.
All right.
Let's move on. Next fight. It was the third second round KO finish we're going to talk about. The former Glory kickboxer making his UFC debut, Diniz. Is that how you say his name?
Johnata Diniz.
Johnata Diniz taking on.
It almost sounds like a joke.
Taking on the guy who's now, out of his 2 fights that we finished, he's been knocked out brutally. Austen Lane, big guy, but man,
he has no chin.
These other guys know how to find his chin. These heavyweights.
Austen Lane is a massive. I texted you that the other night.
Former NFL defensive end.
So
he looks like it.
He looks like he can fight. And honestly, he was, his game up front, taking down Johnata and, forcing the first round. He won. He had the first round in the back.
I mean, that's a good game plan, but
you can't
when you're a guy who that's not his thing. He was doing that because he knew how good on the feet
the former kickboxer.
The former kickboxer was. And the former kickboxer proved, unless you're way more dominant than him on the ground, you're not going to be able to stand and bang with him.
Right, exactly. That's one of Lane's, strong suits. This was, in my opinion,
when you're a striker and you're afraid, not afraid because these guys aren't afraid, but he decided not to strike. That's a huge confident boost for the other guy.
You're right.
And he proved it in the second round with a knockout. First UFC win, he moves to 1-0, 7-0 overall. He now has 7-0 with 7 KOs. I mean,
that's pretty impressive. It's a great UFC
He knows
debut.
what to do.
Who do you think he should fight next? This one's, it's a UFC debut, so there's not really a ranking that you can throw out there. This is more of an obscure heavyweight fighter.
I think at this point it's just any heavyweight.
I have 2 just fun ones because I know they're notable names and also boys that are just down to bang. Junior Tafa, the younger Tafa brother.
Yeah, give him one of the Tafas. When in doubt, give him one of the Tafas.
Or Muhammad Usman.
I like that one too. I thought you were going to say, or Justin Tafa.
That would also, Tafa, another, at some point we need to see the Tafa brothers fight.
I don't think that's going to happen.
That would be a crazy fight.
I think what happens is one of them fights a guy, then the other one fights the same guy.
They both, that's a cool legacy to have, brothers just knocking the same dude out, same 2 people.
Or if one loses, the other one avenges his loss.
Yeah.
But then if you both lose, then
Well, they just did. Didn't they? Didn't they both fight somebody recently and they both lost? Or not recently, but they have both lost to the same guy? I know they've both beaten Parker Porter.
Yeah, poor Parker Porter.
Either way, let's move on to
Porky Parker Porter.
The main card opener of UFC Vegas 91, Jonathan Pearce taking on David Onama.
Well, I think this was
second
opener.
I forgot about how quick Medic's fight was.
Yeah, so Onama Pearce. This was again one of the only ones that wasn't a finish. Unanimous decision for Onama.
Yep. And it's crazy because this was a very impressive fight for different reasons. Jonathan Pearce's very aggressive, force wrestling style, where he's dragging you to the ground. He's not giving you any space.
He's not letting you breathe.
Right. He's always trying to tap you out. But David Onama, not a heavy wrestling background of any kind, or at least that I knew of. He got like 5 or 6 reversals, the most reversals I've ever seen. And he ended up with control time, which led the way to him getting a unanimous decision win.
Yeah,
it was a very impressive kind of flip of the script where the guy's tired, but he didn't stop. He still went after the shots. He still kept with it. He never gave up. And like you said, it wasn't a decision like that we got to sleep on. It was an impressive decision.
It was an impressive, well-rounded decision for Onama. He moves to 4-2 now in the UFC, so he's still, 6 fights. He's not new in the UFC, but he's still building his way up. This was one of those ones that you get a win, and he got better because of this fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
He got better with this win.
He was tested, and he tested positive for having that dog in him.
Exactly, because he could have easily, this guy's better on the ground than me.
Waiting for the bell to finish so he can get back up and try to start the next round a different way. No, this dude, David Onama really, he fought through a style that I think obviously you knew that was a style Jonathan Pearce was going to come in with, but he was able to overcome a good wrestling style that, like you said, I think he grows a lot from that fight.
Yeah, so shout out to the Ugandan, the silent assassin, Onama, with the impressive performance. Who do you think he fights next?
I got 3 options. 2 guys coming off of a loss, 1 guy coming off of a surprise win. Nate Landwehr, Nate the Train, Billy Q. Both those guys coming off a loss. Or I'm sorry, Nate Landwehr's coming off a win just now.
Yeah, he had the nice
surprising win at
Atlantic
the end of the
City.
round.
Yeah.
Billy Q's coming off a loss, and then Damon the Leech Jackson's also coming off of a win as well. I think either one of those 3 would be fun fights. It kind of gives Onama kind of back in his court, a striker versus striker. We've proved that, there's no sense necessarily in just forcing wrestlers down this guy's throat.
Yeah,
let him fight once and then maybe another wrestler later on.
I like all 3. Give me Landwehr. I think that would be a very entertaining fight, Onama Landwehr.
Landwehr's got some crazy post-fight interview too. So he's got that
entertaining guy.
That skill with him. All right, now
we got the main card opener.
The main card opener.
And this was the quickest of the main card
This is
fights.
the quickest of all the fights.
First round KO.
2 minutes and 9 seconds.
The doctor broke his Hippocratic oath and ended Tim Means with a first round knockout. So Medic, this was one of the most entertaining. We said it's the quickest. One of the most entertaining performances of the whole card.
Yeah, it was a great 2 minutes and 9 seconds. It was an impressive performance. It was a very clean uppercut.
And it was it was
solid ground and pound. It's not like when Jalen Turner pretty much knocked out Renato Moicano a few weeks ago and then tried to get a walk-off. Uros Medic is paying attention. He sees that he's got him rocked. He hits him hard, and he follows it up until the ref stops the fight.
It was
very important.
Great performance, good rebound for Medic after the loss in November. He moves to 4-2 in the UFC now.
9-2 is a complete record.
Still has never been to the scorecard.
Yeah, he's a dog.
And now
he's
12
finishing
career
all his fights, or he's getting finished.
And out of his 4 UFC, that's his 4th UFC win. All 4 of them knockouts.
Yep. I like 2 good options for him: Brian Battle, Muslim Salikov. Difference of opponent. You got both guys who are strikers, both that offer present different.
I would say Brian Battle, but it seems like Brian Battle and who'd he fight last time? They have some unfinished business after the way that fight ended, and they started yelling at each other.
Lusa.
Yeah, the Swiss.
Yeah,
they were pretty much about to fight after the fight.
Yeah,
after the fight got called off.
Some pretty.
I think Lusa told Brian Battle he was going to kill him. So let's wait for them to fight. Salikov, book it. Medic Salikov.
Muslim Salikov. Book it. I like it. All right, that'll wrap up UFC Vegas 91. We got a lot right, a few wrong. Later.